representative of life. Some people are moving and some people aren't.
I didn't know we were going to be doing a philosophy thing. We can do this.
Epistemology. And how do we know that? I mean, what part of our senses are observing this? And do you trust those senses?
You tell me, because obviously
you crawl through the desert on your hands and knees to find the pool of water, and when you get there, it's nothing but sand. Your senses have lied to you. How do you know it's sand?
I thought he was from Duluth.
Oh my gosh.
He's from Tibet.
So now what you've done is you've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that your senses can be wrong.
Yeah.
So once you know that, how do you ever know when they're right? You're now filled with doubt. You can either be a broken human laying in the...
I don't know how to take this from a guy who's supposed to be building airplanes.
Okay, right, airplanes. Right, that's the subject, airplanes. Okay. The really neat part about aviation and about engineering and about physics is that, for the most part, you can test it. You know it works.
Right.
And that's part of the certification process, is reaching that level of certainty that things work.
Philosophy,
really
not
satisfying.
so much. You have to try it and see what happens.
I love the philosophy part too.
Yeah, I know you do. It's wonderful. Actually, you know, that's one of the things I'd like to talk about, and we should introduce you. We're talking with Alan Klapmeier. He was really the driving force behind Cirrus, and now his new adventure is Kestrel. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about that, because we're sitting here at the great state of Maine air show here in Brunswick, Maine, at Brunswick Executive Airport and Brunswick Landing. And Kestrel is the anchor industry right here.
Well, we hope it becomes that, yeah. The Kestrel, first of all, for people who aren't familiar with it, is a single-engine turboprop general aviation aircraft. The engine you see behind us is the Honeywell TPE 331.
With the wheel of life.
Now, the wheel of life. And when you're up flying with only one engine, it is the wheel of life.
There you go.
But fantastic, huge, powerful engine. And we've recently selected this, and Honeywell as our partner to go forward with it.
Yeah.
The rest, again, just briefly, it's a composite airplane, meaning fiberglass and carbon fabric in an epoxy resin. And we hope to be building the airplane here, doing the certification now, the testing, and finishing the design here in Maine and in Minnesota.
And part of that inspiration was, of course, the interest in Maine with the composite technology, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of great reasons why we hope to be here in Maine. And as much as we know that, just being here at the air show and having people come up and talk about their backgrounds and how they'd like to be part of the team really has been fun. But Maine has a number of things from the staff side that are interesting. One, obviously, is the composite background. Right. But not just the composite background. It's the innovative part of the composite background of a variety of boat builders and the people who are working in wind technology and so on, who are all trying to push the envelope on what can get done with composites, and that's huge.
Right.
And that's good because it's new technology, but it's also good because it's that kind of innovative people that we want. People who care about trying to do something new, do it better, do it with high quality.
Yeah.
That's aviation.
You know, I so appreciate that. The first time I heard you talk, I was so impressed with your vision, not only for new technology, but also for the direction that general aviation is going into, right? We're attracting more business flyers. I know that's something that you set the groundwork for that at Cirrus, and I think that's the nexus, right? I mean, let's face it, I don't want to pull punches. I love flying commercial, don't get me wrong. It's a way to get around. But you guys are changing the whole face of the way people are traveling for business.
We definitely think we can, and I should start with the disclaimer, which is I'm an airplane nut. I love airplanes. I love old airplanes. I love new airplanes. I love to fly. The problem with what I call airplane nuts is that we'll put up with almost anything to fly.
Right.
And what that translated into was an industry that assumed that the customer would put up with it. And unfortunately, and the airlines are getting that way as well. That's not how you grow an industry. So what our vision has always been is how do we bring new technology and a different perspective on the customer, where we try and make it easier to fly, more comfortable, better value from a customer point of view, and provide that utility so that more people will fly. Truly, the only really scarce resource for any of us is time. You've got a certain number of years, and then you die. How do you get more out of life? get things done faster. Have an airplane. Go to more places. You know, squeeze more into this life.
Comfortably.
And do it comfortably and do it easily. User-friendly is an overused phrase nowadays, but it is the right idea. How do you make it easier for people to do whatever it is they're doing? That's what we're trying to do with aviation. Make it easier.
Exactly. And you know, let's talk about the new avionics that you guys are going to feature in the Kestrel. And one of the questions we're getting from pilots about the Kestrel is, particularly for business, if somebody's going to start their flying career, can they train in the Kestrel, or would you advise them to start?
Yeah, the Kestrel wouldn't be the place you'd start, although it could be done. And when I was still with Cirrus and we were working on the Cirrus jet, what I would say teasingly to people is I was looking forward to the day when someone learned to fly in the jet. Not particularly practical, but or with the Kestrel, but certainly a more modern airplane like a Cirrus, like the Cessna Corvallis, are planes that, while they're seen as very high-performance general aviation airplanes, they're reasonable places to start. And then quickly move up to airplanes with capability like the Kestrel. If we can make this airplane significantly easier to fly, then we make it accessible to that whole group of people that are flying general aviation or smaller general aviation airplanes, or who want to be, but really need this kind of performance.
Well, you know, let's go in that direction. Tell me about what the advantages are to the Kestrel, particularly for that business flyer. I know obviously you've got, you know, a little bit more payload. You've got 6 seats, right? The interior of the thing is just, I could live in it.
Wouldn't that be fun? And I have visions of flying around the world and living in it. Taking the camper on the back. Well, you know, business transportation is widely misunderstood, and for those of us in the industry, it's really disappointing to see it get turned into a political football. It's not that. Business transportation aircraft really are, to the extent that this word is accurate in business at all, they're essential tools. People, companies need general aviation airplanes, business jets. But then it depends on what your mission is and what you can afford. The niche that the Kestrel fits into as a single-engine turboprop first instead of a business jet is that it still carries a very large load, will fly long distances, but it'll also do it easier, lower cost, and in and out of short runways. So compared to the bigger business jets, this is a really efficient alternative. Compared to other airplanes that are more in its price range or in its kind of first pass performance, that's where you start getting into some of the other advantages that we think our design brings. So this airplane would compete with a used King Air or a pressurized piston twin, something like that. The difference is that we will take those airplanes, push the performance up 325 knots, push the comfort up. It's actually a bigger cabin than those airplanes. And then again, as we were talking earlier, most importantly, push the pilot requirement down. It's just going to be easier to fly than a Cessna 400 series twin, while still going faster, carrying more, going further. So the idea of something being better is better in every way. You know, how do we do more for less with more comfort and less complexity?
And I'm sure that, you know, to you this is not ironic, but that intersection happening where even smaller businesses are looking at private aviation as a viable option, right? Especially if you're putting 2 or 3 or 4 people in the air several times a month. This is really a wonderful alternative. We don't need to play the politics of the big corporate jet. That's not what you're talking about.
We definitely don't need to, but because politics come into it, I do want to throw in the point. I never use the word private aviation because it means something to other people that it doesn't mean to us. So to me, it's personal transportation, personal aviation, it's general aviation, or it's business aviation. Nobody ever says, I have a private car. I don't drive around everybody else. I have a private car. So private aviation is used inappropriately by 2 groups of people. One are the people that have airplanes that really are arrogant enough to think that private means that somehow they're better than the rest of us. But they're not. They can just afford more. I don't like that. And the second part of private is people that use it against us and say that somehow we're getting undeserved benefits. Well, we're not. You know, the airspace is open. We're providing jobs and utility, and
we're working. We're trying to get around to work.
We're getting more out of life. in the phrase economic activity, the important word is activity.
Right.
How do we create jobs? Do more.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what aviation's about. You know, it's allowing businesses and people to do more.
Yeah. It's certainly not cost efficient when half your C-suite's traveling the country in a traffic jam.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Or not traveling at all because it's so painful for them they decide to try and do the business without leaving.
Well, there it is too. And how important is that face-to-face contact? I mean, we've lived in a world now where technology has created some separation, but now you're giving us the tools to get face-to-face with our clients, with our prospects again, right?
Well, here's an interesting comment that was just made to me yesterday that I'd never thought about. I was told that the people on Facebook, the more they use Facebook, the more they realize that it's just a good start, and then they want to go meet those people face to face.
Right.
So I think probably even that comes full circle.
Yeah. It works
like
together.
Our engine,
it
right?
Works together.
The technology and the social media and the electronic forms of communication, like an airplane, accelerate the relationships, but they don't replace the need for face to face. So we'll still have that, and airplane's the way to do it.
Alan, your vision is so wonderful. I so appreciate you spending the time with us.
My pleasure.
All the best luck with the Kestrel. I can hardly wait to see that final version roll off the line.
Not more than me. when we're sitting with the mock-up in this engine here, I just keep thinking I can't wait till they're put together and in the air.
There it is. There it is.
It's going to be great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.